Hello, everyone. My name is Renee Vidor. I'm the founder of the Winner Circle. And today is one of my favorite days of the month where I get to highlight one of our amazing life winners. And I have the privilege of interviewing today a dear friend of mine, Sally Betters. Before I go ahead and read her bio and let her share with you, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what the Winner Circle is so that you have an idea of why are we even doing this? You see, everybody was given they are created to win. They're given the opportunity to win at life. And yet so often, all of our potential will just choose to lose. We just let it go. So it means that we need to be very careful to be making sure that we are winning at life. Gosh, here I go with my little stuttering. And guess what? I'm going to choose to win anyway. That's what it's all about. So the Winner Circle was put together to help people to be empowered so that they can win at life in whatever way they were created to do. That means that we have accountability as well as we have support and tools and training and an amazing community. So without further ado, I'm going to share with you one of our community members, Sally Betters. And Sally Betters is a compelling author, a relevant speaker, and a life-transforming coach who helps people clarify their purpose, identify their passion, and understand where their power comes from so they can live fully alive. She writes adult and children's character-building books to raise money to stop child sex trafficking. Her passion is to guide her clients through a framework of specific steps to reach personal freedom and thrive within their arena of influence. Drawing on over 20 years of training, teaching, and leadership experience, Sally has inspired others to achieve beyond their own limits. She is now using her life experience to unearth the difficult conversations long avoided within the faith community. All right, go ahead and help me welcome Sally Betters.
Thank you so much. What a
So
delight.
good to see your face.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Well, Sally, I want to go ahead and ask anyone who is watching live right now, where are you joining us from? Because I know that I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and tell us where you are right now.
I'm in Pine Mountain Club, California. It's just tucked in from the Central Coast, and it's a lovely community with the four seasons.
Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. So what is the weather like right now?
It's glorious. It's about 68 degrees and everything's blooming. So forgive me if I sound a little nasal, but my allergies are kicking in.
Hey, that's all right. I know you keep at it. You just keep going no matter what's coming at you. And that beauty of spring is worth it, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Everything's in full bloom. Lilacs are everywhere.
Ah, well, I see we have some people joining us. We have Jenny in Columbus, Ohio saying hi. And
Thank
anyone else,
you.
let us know where you're from. And Sally, I know that you've been with the Winter Circle since January, and it's gotten even better every single time some amazing person joins us. So tell us a little bit about what made you decide that you wanted to be involved.
I want to be in a group of people who desired accountability. And excuse me, community has always been important to me. And that's something distinctive in the Winner's Circle, that people are willing to help other people and are very encouraging and also hold each other accountable to the things that we want to share. And I love the fact that we share our wins and we share our struggles, and we learn from other people's experience. So for me, it's the perfect fit.
Awesome. Has there been anything that's been specifically your favorite thus far?
I think the smaller groups that are a little more intimate, when we talk and share about projects we're working on and things that we need help with. And there's just so much, there's such a great knowledge base of people who've done this already. And they just jump in and say, no problem, let me help you with that. So I really enjoy that.
That's awesome. And I know that you have been such a supporter and you have so much wisdom and experience to offer as well. So let's jump into a little bit of that so that we can share with our viewers today. And one thing I would like to know is that you are an author, and I met you because we both were authors. We were at a conference, and
Yes.
I believe your book was already finished. Mine was not yet. So, would
Mhm.
you mind telling us just a little bit about your first book and what prompted you to write it?
Sure, I'd be happy to. It's called From Crisis to Compassion. And it really is a composite of the years of working as a special needs tutor and working as a pro-abortion, or excuse me, post-abortion counselor at a pregnancy center in our community. And I saw certain themes that were consistent among young people who were vulnerable and had been abused, and how it impacted all of their adult decision making. And so I began to see some parallels with my own life. And I felt a tap on my shoulder that I needed to write about this and bring some of these issues to the surface. And I think the most amazing part is the reaction I've received from people, because I really thought this story was unique to my life and to some of the other people I had met, but it is quite pervasive, I'm finding.
Mm. So basically, the fact that you went through some things and then you saw it in your profession and your volunteering as well, and
Mhm.
then seeing that you could make a difference in other
Mhm.
people's lives. And
Yes.
I know that so often we feel like we are in our own life, that we are in our own struggle, and
Yeah.
nobody else understands. Nobody else knows. It's just us having to deal with it on our own. And what kind of help would you give to somebody who feels that way right now?
Oh, that's such a great question. I would let them know that this life is filled with trials. And that is part of our journey towards growth, is how we handle them and who we turn to. And again, that's why community is so vital, that we have people to lean into. But most importantly, and first and foremost in my life, is my faith. And to know that I have a God who loves me, who created me and designed me for his glory, and that I am to turn to him as my direction, my compass, to know how to press through this new challenge. And that's what I want to encourage others in this book, because it is very hopeful. It's restorative. It's a book of redemption, that we all need to know that we've all made mistakes. We're all broken, but we don't focus on the brokenness. We don't focus on the shame. We focus on the fact that we have a creator who wants to put us back together, and he's got the glue to do that. And so it's a shift from looking at what has happened and the damage it's caused, to looking at the hope of how we can move past it and encourage others along who are struggling.
That is a gold nugget right there. Anyone who's watching, if you haven't already, you need to write that down and write down From Crisis to Compassion. I have it there in the comments for you. And I also will have you go check out Sally's website, because I have the book. Actually, I should have had it with me already. Do you have a copy right there to grab to show them?
I
Okay.
do. Here we go. There's a cue. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank
It's
you.
so
And
beautiful.
thank you. And it has an accompanying workbook, but I do this much more in depth in one-on-one coaching. So I'm a certified life coach as well. And I go over the topics in this book, as well as anything my clients are struggling with. And recently with COVID, I've been hearing from a lot of overwhelmed moms and teens, and trying to incorporate homeschooling into their life and what that looks like for them.
That's so relevant. That is huge. And I know
Mhm.
that I myself, I mean, reading your book, it's just so easy. And that's your first book, From Crisis to Compassion. But reading is so easy to identify with, whether or not you've been in the exact same shoes that
Mhm.
you are writing from. But I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit more about, were you surprised with the reaction from the readers that you were getting these comments from?
Oh, I was. If I can give you a visual, because visuals work for me, is that I felt like this book opened an invisible door between us, that they walked through and just poured forth their own story. And this to me was holy ground. It was intimate, it was private, and it was just so very personal to them that they would give me the privilege of being able to hear their story and their pain. So it's been quite transforming for me to hear this and to know that people are ready. And they've said that. They've said, I've never read a book like this where someone has been so honest and revealing. And I was there. I mean, I've had women come to me at when I've spoken at different events, and they're standing in line to have their book authored, and they've actually said, "That's me. I'm chapter 11, or I'm chapter 7." And it's like, wow, I never thought of that. It was more cathartic, and I wanted to get it out to just show that there are people out there who have been tainted by life's pain, and that is the reason why they make the choices they do. And so it takes us from a place of judgment to a place of compassion.
Wow. That is something that can take so many years to learn. And people who go to so much counseling and to be able to read something and to glean from somebody else's story, those kind of lessons and those kind of emotional, what is that called? Like your EQ, that is huge. That is so remarkable. And it just goes to show, I know you, Sally, for the last few years, and how when there is something on your mind and on your heart, and you know that it is divine and you're supposed to do it, it may not be the easy thing, but you have always been someone to go ahead and do it anyway. And I just want to applaud you for that, because that is a true winner. That is someone who is choosing to use their potential and to live up to it and win at life, no matter what the cost. So just thank you for doing that, because you already have impacted so many people. And what's neat about a book is that it lives on. It doesn't stop. It's going to be in print. It's not going to close. So amazing. And
thank you so much.
Yeah. And moving on with that whole concept, and I'm just picturing people coming up and saying, yes, that's me, that, I'm this chapter, shows that you are able to reach many different people with your stories. And I know that part of you being able to reach many people is, yes, like you said, you've reached so many women. And I'm sure that as women are reached, that's impacting other lives. Those women are moms, they're parents that are impacting their sons, their husbands. And it's just this whole, it reaches out. But now you're going a route to even reach the younger generations. And I know, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for talking about that, because that was something I never dreamed of. I attended an authors conference that we're both a part of, and some children's authors came up to me and said, "Hey, I heard you wrote a book on childhood trauma." And I acknowledged that, and they said, "Have you ever thought of writing a children's book?" And at first my heart connection was like, "Oh yeah, kids need this." But the second part was, "But I don't think I'm the person to do it." Because I've never written a children's book. And so I began to pray about it and just really seeking God's wisdom on how do I go about this. I've never written one. I don't know an illustrator. I don't know a children's editor. Where do I start? And so it was a lot of soul searching. And I wish I could tell you it was wonderful and easy, and it was just, paddling down the stream and no conflict. And that wasn't it. It was a year of praying and getting basically no ideas, no storyline, no plot, and then having a crying session with the Lord and basically saying, "I've got nothing for you. I don't know what I'm supposed to do." And I felt him urge me to ask for prayer. And I knew why immediately, and that's something I don't always do. And I tend to have my own ideas and run after it. And then if it fails, then I just cry in a corner and nobody knows. And so this idea of asking for prayer really involved other people, for them to not only pray for me, but for me to have accountability that I was going to move on this project. And it's been amazing. It's been a wild ride. And as my husband always says, you could write a book on what it takes for you to write a book. Because there's so many great there are great connections. There's great things that happen. People's generous hearts just open up, and things we've never dreamed of. Of course, we're this is a big thing for us. It's so exciting is everything I do, whether it's writing a book, speaking, or life coaching, all the proceeds go to an amazing organization called Zoe International that is fighting human trafficking, and most specifically child sex trafficking in 5 countries. And about 15 years ago, I heard about the impact of human trafficking, and it really touched me. And I remember going to my husband and saying, how can we impact this at some level? And so we started supporting Zoe in their mission in Thailand. And then we found out that they were building a Zoe home for youth in Los Angeles. And they have a contract with the LA Sheriff's Department. When they pick up a young girl who's been trafficked and is on the street, they can bring her to this home, and she can receive holistic healing of psychological, physical, emotional, spiritual, if she chooses, and to learn life skills and pass her GED so she can move on in life. And it was so amazing. And we immediately contacted them, and we got a private tour. And so this is our target. We are everything we're acquiring in terms of proceeds goes directly to the Zoe Educational Fund for these girls who are significantly behind in their educational journey. And many people don't know this, but when a child is trafficked, they are removed from school for months at a time. So they're way behind grade level. And so our goal is to help them. And they do need help in so many areas. But when a child has experienced trauma and they are back in an educational system, there is so much that is blocking them processing information and understanding that it's near impossible for them to hold on to what they're learning. So this has been a great joy to know that we can make a small dent in this huge global problem.
That is awesome to be able to make a difference. And I just want to circle back because something that you said was so powerful. We had one of our people, Vivian, who's watching from Milwaukee, say that she wants to write a children's book as well. And she's an author and has written a nonfiction book. And the fact that you said for a whole year, you were trying and you didn't know where to start. But now, can you share with us how many children's books have you written and are about to launch in total?
Oh, it's just amazing. I mean, there is a silent author in every book I write. And that is my Lord and Savior who just guides everything. And so the first book I wrote was a children's picture book, and it's called Looking Beyond the Sky. And I have a dear friend who's a very talented author, and she was the illustrator. And she volunteered her time, knowing that I had a very small budget, and she knew exactly where the proceeds were going because she had read my first book. So this is just an example of her illustrations that are just gorgeous. It has an accompanying workbook, a coloring book and activity book for preschool to young kindergarten age that goes with it. And it has all the pictures from the first book that they can color themselves. And then there's activities that are age appropriate in the back of the book. And so I learned how to use Canva and design that, which was quite a journey. And then recently that launched at the end of January. And in the end of February, I released my Sarah series, which is really cool because it's a book about children's stories that are character building. And it's about a young girl who is an only child and is lonely and desired a dog. And so her parents eventually see that she's age responsible, and they give her a dog that's from a shelter. And there's a magical component that I'm not going to give away, but Sarah finds out the past of this dog and its history, and then proceeds to rescue its siblings. And then all the character issues are really from the dog's perspective. And there are questions at the back of each book that are engaging for the children, as well as activities of how they can really incorporate these life lessons into their lives. And that will have a coloring book, an activity book at the end. I finished writing the 9 books in the series, and I'm ready to have them completed and published by June for summer reading.
So within 6 months, I mean, literally 6 months from January until the upcoming June launch of the last 3 that you're talking about, all of that hard work and time and prayer time, like you said, that's the harvest. That's the fruit of it. So
Right.
what would you say to someone right now? Because you've already lived it. And like you said, you've been through the trial part of some of this. What would you say to someone who's saying, I just don't know where to start with whatever I'm doing? Maybe it's not writing a children's book. Maybe it's something totally different. But is there something that you might be able to just share from your expertise and wisdom of, if you don't know where to start, but you know there's an inkling of something that you are supposed to win at, what do you do?
For me, you begin with prayer. You begin with prayer, and you give your focus to the Lord, and you ask him to show me how to do this. And I had this book idea for over 15 years before I even started. And I really kept feeling that nudge to write a book. And I really just kept ignoring it, to be honest with you, because I felt insecure. And some of that was from my own learning challenges that I've worked through. They don't go away, but we learn how to cope with them. And for me, it was dyslexia. And so I was always the slowest reader in my class and had a lot of difficulty with comprehension. So my confidence level wasn't really high in thinking that somebody who doesn't read a lot of books could write a book. How does that happen? So I began praying about it, and I reached out to a friend, and she started praying with me. And she said, and I'll kid you not, about a week after we started praying, she sent me a link to an author academy. And she said, I think this may be helpful to you. And part of that was because I told her I didn't know any authors. I didn't know anyone who had written a book. So who do I go to for support? So by joining an authors academy, it helped me, and just a community of other authors who I could see were at different stages of development. That showed me that people of all ages, from late teens to someone in their 80s, could write a book. And so I felt like, okay, if this is something I need to be doing, then I need to learn how. And it was a huge growth curve, not feeling technically savvy in a lot of ways, and learning how to do Google Docs by the grace of my daughter-in-law, who helped me, to say, these Word documents need to be upgraded. And so it really helped just to start learning. And then it just was a plethora of knowledge of how to write better, of how to focus more on the reader rather than what I thought I should be writing. And then the technical part of finding, the editor and the illustrator and the layout person, and who did I want to publish with. And so there's so many parts to it, but the greatest joy is seeing the end product, that somebody can be blessed by this work. And there was huge growth for me to feel like in my 6th decade of life, I was learning some amazing things that gave me a different perspective when I picked up a book now of what goes into that process.
That's a really good point. And I know for myself, when I wrote a book, that those few years were some of the most growing. And I learned so much about myself, as well as researching the topics and making sure to share with the readers what they needed to hear from my story. So I can imagine, with all of the different aspects of not just one book, but goodness, is this 10 now that you're about to 10 now?
There will be 11. And then the one I'm working on now, now that I finished writing the 9 books of the Sarah series, is a devotional for children, which is based on all the character lessons, to give them more visuals and more opportunities, because they will also have activities and a short prayer for them to pray after the devotional, to help them understand, how do I apply this in my everyday life, whether it's jealousy or forgiveness or anger, how do I deal with those things in my life? So,
That's so important.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm
Even
excited.
as adults.
Yes, yes, it's so true.
Yes. Well, I know that Sally just gave us a lot of great wisdom there. So, in asking the question of what do you do when you just don't know where to start? If you're like, okay, I just feel like I'm losing, I don't even know how to move forward. As she said, if you're a person of faith, pray. And I'd encourage you, if you're not a person of faith, pray anyway. Just pray and
Yes,
asking God to show you how do I start? What are these steps? What's the next step? Not the entire thing, because I can't imagine, like you said, going through learning new programs, the technology, the
mm,
readers, writing. That's a lot of steps. But you
yes.
have shown the perseverance. You have been someone that I've looked up to and admired and been inspired by as you move through. So, Sally, you're impacting readers, you're impacting authors, you're
Mm.
impacting anybody who comes across your path. So keep up the great work at that, because you really are making a difference.
No, I truly appreciate that. I think what has been so helpful for me in when I see issues like this that are so huge, like human trafficking,
Mm.
and then writing a book, it becomes truly overwhelming. And the lesson that I've learned in my faith journey is that we're not called to feed the 5,000. We're called to bring our gifting, our gifts, our fish and our loaves, and we let God do the rest. And it
Mm.
has taken so much pressure off of me to feel like I can't put plugs in everything that is out of control. I have to just focus on what I'm called to do. And God's given us each gifts and talents and time to use those. And He'll show you your arena. He'll bring people to cross and intersect your path to complement you in things. And you might be courageous enough to ask the questions of your close friends and family and ask them, what do you see in me? What strengths do you see that I can give to others? And how have I impacted your life in a positive way? And maybe that's something they would love to share with you, but they've never felt the opportunity. And it will bond the two of you together in a new way and propel you to now start moving in that direction. And that's something I never thought I was good at any of this stuff. And the feedback I've gotten has been truly amazing. And so it wouldn't have happened had I not stepped into it and asked and taken those hard steps and been frustrated and kept pressing in. Those things don't happen unless we can continue the course of what we're called to do.
Wow, that was really good too. Being able to have some of those tangible steps. I hope everyone is listening. And if you are in that place, listen to what Sally's saying. Asking someone that you trust, that's huge. We oftentimes don't, you're right, know what our gifts are or what we're doing on a daily basis that we can. And I quoted you in here in the comments, we're not called to feed the 5,000. We're called to bring our gifts, our few fish and loaves. Wow. I mean, you could just have an entire, like, everything could just be done with that. That was just amazing. So I did put in the comments where you can check out all of Sally's books on her author's page. So please go and check them out. I've had the opportunity to read several of them. And the Sarah series, if you know of any children, especially children that you care about, because you know how difficult it can be to be a child trying to learn some of these character building aspects of life, then check out the Sarah series. It can be bought on a Kindle, I believe, as well as paperback.
Yes,
So
yes. Uh-huh.
that's a huge aspect of being able to you could just send it right to them. That's amazing. If you
Mm.
know of, gosh, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I know that's super important. When you check out this book, From Crisis to Compassion, I'm not here to sell anything. I know Sally's not either. You can read her heart, even just hearing her that she wants to make an impact. And these books make an impact on our world. But with Mental Health Awareness Month, sometimes we look at dyslexia or we look at the things that we've done in our past and we think, oh my gosh, how heavy. We look at depression and so many different things that are impacting our lives today. But if you see a mom who could use some compassion, or who's been through some crisis, or who just likes personal growth and would love to read another person's story, and because they know that every time we hear and we read another person's story or what someone else has been through, that we learn, we grow,
Yes.
then Mother's Day is coming up. So make sure you grab that too. And Sally, I want to put in here, how can everybody connect with you? Like you said, you are a life coach. You
Yes.
offer so many amazing services. So
Mhm.
how can people connect with you?
They can go right to my website at sallybetters.com, and it's /coach. So that would take them to all my services. They would be able to, they could ask for a free consultation coaching, and we can kind of see what it is they want to explore. My books are all on there. I do offer a course on goal setting using a proprietary program I developed on mind mapping, as well as for young adults who are struggling. Teenagers these days have a lot to deal with. And so if they need to sort some things out, I do coaching with them as well. With their parents, if we want to do a Zoom call that way, or individually. So I have some documents that I use that help people to just kind of lay out their ideas and their problems, and some avenues to solve them. So I think that's the easiest way. And then the books you can access through my website. You can link directly to Amazon from them, or just go directly to my authors page where all the books are laid out.
Wonderful. And I know that you're on many different social media platforms too. I was trying to
Yes.
put those in the comments because, hey, if you can just go and follow this woman, as you can tell, she is someone who is worth following and learning from. But she's on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn. And I think I just got it to go through. It wasn't working a second ago. So you can click on those links as well and follow Sally. And Sally, I just want to ask, I know that you are doing amazing things in the world and you are an amazing person. You're sharing all of your book proceeds with Zoe International to help stop sex trafficking. If anyone's jumping on late, then just know that this is a woman who is generous and kind. But can you share with us anything that you would like to? Anything that comes to mind that you would like to share with the audience right now? I just want to give you that stage, that platform.
What I'd like to share is that people have been created for a purpose, and we have value, and we have impact. And I would like to let you know not to sell yourself short, not to minimize your influence in a positive way, or your skill sets, because right now we have so much available at our fingertips with technology and YouTube and Google, and we can train ourselves in areas that we're deficient in, and we can pursue the things that have been on our heart for a while that we just thought, that's just too big for me. So we can break it up into smaller pieces and just start and take the next best step, like Renee said, and see what it is that we are needing to pursue to help fulfill areas in ourselves, for our own growth, and how we can bless others. I believe my life is meant to serve others, and I believe some of you think the same way. And there's so many ways you can do that, and just tap into the things that bring interest to you and that are of a concern, and just start moving in that direction and see where God leads you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Sally. That means a lot. I know that anyone listening right now, if you heed those words, you're going to walk away with that purpose and learning more about that purpose. Well, I know that there's been so much value here today. If you are, actually, I'm going to let Sally go so she doesn't have to stay on here. Sally, thank you so much for joining us. This has
You're
been
very welcome.
this has been amazing. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. It's been my joy. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, goodness. I love that woman. She's just amazing. If you enjoyed this too, go ahead and let us know in the comments. If you're watching live, you can put #live. If you're watching the replay, #replay. If you have questions for Sally, go ahead. You can put them in the chat as well. And I'm sure in the comments, I'm sure that she can come back and she can attend to those questions. She's such a generous and giving person. As you saw, go ahead and find her on those different social media platforms, as well as her website. And we'll put that up here again really quickly so that you can go find her there. And if you are a person who is looking to be among others that are passionate, that are working towards a purpose, that are generous, that have a wealth of knowledge, that are devoted to community and realize the accountability that is necessary to move forward to win at life. If you're looking for tools and coaching and the ability to have support, to celebrate your wins, and just as Sally said, at times, bring your struggles to the forefront so we can all work together, then I highly recommend you check out the Winner Circle. The Winner Circle subscription is where you'll find myself, you'll find Sally, and so many other people. You can go to bealifewinner.com, and that will be where you can learn more. You can reach out to myself, and I look forward to seeing many of you there. So take care, go check out Sally, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.